I'm John Batchelor. This is the John Batchelor Show. Malcolm Hoenlein, Conference of Presidents, Major American Jewish Organizations, continues with me, and we turn to Argentina, which is not an obvious place to start with trouble in the Middle East, but this connects very clearly to the biggest threat in the Middle East right now, the predator state of Iran. Malcolm, the investigation of the involvement of Iran in South America, Chavez, all of that has a predicate back in the 1990s, the attack on the Jewish center in Buenos Aires, the mass murder, linking to some of the most prominent names in leadership of the Twelvers, the Tehran elite, in the last 20 years. One of them, Rafsanjani himself, but certainly including Velaity, the foreign minister then, and a prominent advisor to the Supreme Leader right now. This case has been developed very carefully, and there's a man named Alberto Nisman. Who is he, and what's happened these last days, Malcolm?
And the other person who was involved was Rouhani, now the moderate, quote, president.
Moderate president.
of Iran, right, who was part of the decision-making that gave the orders. I mean, he was not...
He was a Rafsanjani stooge, and he was part of a conspiracy to launch
and part of the government,
right,
when he was also a negotiator and pushed the nuclear program, though everybody tries to portray him as otherwise. Alberto Nisman is the prosecutor who was appointed to investigate this tragic and horrific these incidents that took place that were clearly putting the responsibility, onus, as you point out, on Iranian leaders. And Nisman came out recently with a report that was an offshoot of that investigation, talking about 30 years of Iranian involvement in building a terrorist network inside South America. And he cites the countries, several countries, neighbors of Argentina and others, where he talks about the growth of this terror network. And he said that he pointed out that Iran, being the main sponsor of the planned attack in 2007 against JFK Airport, and pointing to the United States. So the House invited him to come and testify about...
House of
Representatives, United States, invited him to come before committee to testify. The invitation extended. He's an official, and Argentina blocked him from coming. And this is really, it's got the committee, the members of Congress boiling to deny that something which, and aside from the involvement in the bombings, this is American security. This is vital information to the defense of the United States.
Let's go to why, all right? We'll connect the dots. It's predictable on the basis of the information Malcolm and I have developed for the last year. Kirchner is in trouble. Sometimes she calls herself Fernandez. She's the widow of a man who was at one time an authoritarian leader of Argentina. Her government needs cash. The economy is in tatters. And for some time, we've had information that the government of Iran has been offering inducements, is that the polite word, Malcolm, to Kirchner's government to whitewash, to paper over, to somehow solve these outstanding indictments against Rafsanjani, Velaity, and now Rouhani. We thought that deal was in abeyance for some time because they moved to Rouhani, kind of a junior league culprit, as opposed to Velaity, the major league culprit. But Rouhani's suspect for the attack now, too. Nisman knows it. Nisman can name names in front of Congress. That's why he was blocked.
And you're absolutely right. And I think that this underscores what Iran tried to do by creating an alternative to Chavez. When they saw Chavez in Venezuela weakening and being sick, they turned to Kushner. It actually it started with her election. If you remember, they caught somebody coming with $6 million in cash, which supposedly came from Chavez, but people think it was coming from Iran to Kushner, and that relationship kept developing, and it's indicative of how far Iran has succeeded in infiltrating in South America. It's something that does not get sufficient attention here, and the refusal to allow Nisman to come, I think, will have continuing reverberations in terms of Argentinian-U.S. relations.
Iran, we go to the mother predator state itself. The European Union, Catherine Ashton, looking to hold talks. I mean, it's incredible, Malcolm. It's Groundhog Day with this. I mean,
new leadership, new moderate leadership. We have to talk to them.
All right, hold talks in Brussels. Oh, what a surprise on Iran's contested nuclear drive. How they get paid to write this stuff. We could issue this. We could put a robot. All right,
it's Saturday Night Live.
All right, fine. Because Rouhani's the president, because a man who was part of the conspiracy to mass murder Jews in 1994 is now the president of the country.
And to obfuscate the nuclear program and to cover it. And
so we're starting with talks again.
As the negotiator.
The P5+1 are going along with this. We know the outcome will be more, what do they call it? Confidence building steps, right? Isn't that how they'll go to?
Look, and you know what's interesting? That the same day, the MEK, the Mujahideen in Paris, releases a statement saying that they have discovered a hidden nuclear site in Damavand, which is a suburb of Tehran, and that this site had not been previously acknowledged. But, they talk about the tunnels that they found beneath a mountain where this site, and it's indicative of what we had heard, the reports that there were additional sites. Some Iranian officials even threatened that there are additional sites. They're happy that Morsi is gone. They think that it removed a threat because they hate the Muslim Brotherhood, and et cetera. But they, at the same time, think it provides them new opportunities to pressure Hamas to do some other things. But the Iranian regime sees the attention focused first off of them onto Syria, then from Syria onto Egypt. In the meantime, they're moving ahead consistently and constantly. You have to look at the nature of the threats that have been emanating from Iran to understand that they're taking advantage of every moment to consolidate their positions. They have moved new patrol boats into the Persian Gulf area. Nobody even writes about it. Nobody seems to care about the steps that they're taking. But they're creating facts while the rest of the world is paying attention to other conflicts.
Jerusalem Post headline right now within these last hours. An FSA spokesman, that's the Free Syrian Army, says that Al-Qaeda has killed a Free Syrian Army commander. Now, puzzle at this. Al-Qaeda kills a Free Syrian Army commander. Why? We don't know. We can't confirm everything. But Al-Qaeda, that's the Nusra Front, the Nusra Front in Syria. What we do know is that since the coup, Assad has been gloating, boasting, pounding the table about how he's won. Homs and Aleppo, the two offensives, have continued. The Free Syrian Army is in tatters. Now we have a commander assassinated by al-Nusra. Malcolm, my understanding is that the Assad regime is not wrong to celebrate, that they understand that the world cannot handle two crises at once, and it's decided to pour all its energy into stabilizing Egypt and is dropping the quest, what appeared to be an imminent decision to intervene into Syria. Is that consistent with your information?
Yes, I'm not sure he has real reason to celebrate, aside from the fact that the heat is off of him a little bit as they focus on Egypt, and he has given orders to heat up the situation on the Golan just enough to keep the temperature up. And we know that there was a hit against the new anti-ship missiles that they got from Russia in near Latakia, the naval base, so far unidentified. But, Sunnis outnumber Alawites 5-1. So anybody who thinks that long run this is a snap thing for them to sustain. Iran has put in over $12 billion into Syria, and now there's a big backlash there and amongst Hezbollah families. They are protesting the continued involvement, and Nasrallah sent a message now to Iran this week saying that he can no longer sustain this alone.
Nasrallah's head of the Hezbollah.
And he's telling them, you better start sending troops and supplement what we're doing.
We'll continue in a moment. There's much more in the Middle East. Malcolm Hoenlein, Conference of Presidents, Major American Jewish Organizations. And yes, we'll mention our pal Al Baradei, former head of the IAEA, who's now vice president of the interim government in Egypt. I'm John Batchelor.